Hey, how's it going, guys? It's Nate here. And in Skyrim's vast frozen world, one of the most common types of locations we get to explore are dungeons. They come in all shapes and sizes, from vast underground cave networks to small Nordic burial tombs. There's quite some variety. But not all dungeons are created equal. Some are especially notable, either due to a particularly gripping story concerning the structure's history, or the current occupants inside of it. Whatever the case, today we'll be taking a look at my top 5 unique dungeons in The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim. Starting off, we have Faldar's Tooth, a large, currently bandit-occupied ruined Imperial fort in the Rift. What's so intriguing about this once mighty symbol of Cyrodiilic power is not its past, but instead its present bandit inhabitants, and what they don't know is going on. You see, the tribe that has settled in this location seems to have taken a rather unusual interest in wolves. When you first arrive at the fort, they'll send some wolves after you. And as you make your way throughout the building itself, you'll find even more wolves in cages and cells. In the north end, there's even a small makeshift arena with 2 fighting canines inside, that's surrounded by cheering marauders. It's never really explained by Bethesda why this clan has so many hounds. Maybe the leader is just really fond of them or something. But hilariously enough, these wolves seem to have secretly proven to be a very useful asset by the fortress's chef. Just outside the kitchen of Faldar's Tooth, which is located near the west end of the castle, we can find a diary sitting on a table, titled Cook's Journal. When opened, it contains a single entry, which reads the following, quote, "Meat, meat, meat, meat. That's all they ever want. I made them some nice grilled leeks and they threw them in my face. I told them that if they'd bring me some fish or venison, I'd cook it right up. But all they ever do is waste their wages at the ring. But maybe there is a way I can get them some meat." This is where the entry ends, and you can probably already guess the direction it's heading. As you enter the kitchen itself, after defeating the bandit inside, who was presumably the chef and author of that journal, you'll find dozens of pieces of dog meat on the counter and shelves. Clearly, our culinarily inclined friend turned to the wolf population for an easy solution to the meat problem. And it doesn't seem like he or she told anyone about it. I doubt the bandits are aware that their chef is secretly murdering their animals and proceeding to feed those animals to them, and if they did, that's even more creepy. Within the dining room itself will be numerous plates with dog meat served on top. And, funnily enough, a dropped bowl of leeks can also be found next to the door. Nonetheless, it appears the bandits of Faldar's Tooth may be getting to know their hounds much better than they had ever imagined, or hoped. Next on our list, Ironbind Barrow is a small glacial cave and Nordic burial tomb in the Pale. Upon your arrival outside the location, you'll find 2 adventurers arguing. A Redguard named Salma, and her Argonian companion, Beamja. Beamja insists that the pair not go inside, as he's unsure of the danger that may lurk. Salma, on the other hand, is much more excitable, and reminds her sidekick of the treasures that may await them if they muster up the necessary courage. The Dragonborn can approach the pair and volunteer to go within Ironbind alongside them. Salma will eagerly accept your offer, and Beamja will reluctantly go along with you as well. And thus, the trio of you will storm the cave together. You'll essentially have 2 companions as you hack and slash your way through numerous spiders and undead, ultimately facing a unique, powerful Draugr named Gathric at the end of the dungeon nearby a word wall. Gathric functions sort of like a boss, but shouldn't be much of a challenge when you factor in your extra allies. Plus, again, you are sort of the Dragonborn and the Chosen One. But once Gathric has been defeated, you'll be in for a Shyamalan-esque twist, as Beamja, that shy Argonian, will reveal some truly sinister intentions. Apparently, he had known about this ruin, specifically its Draugr Gathric, for quite some time, and has been planning to somehow absorb his power. He just needed help slaying him, and also a blood sacrifice to complete the necessary ritual.
Fool. I should thank you. I knew the girl wouldn't be strong enough to help me kill Gathric alone. There's just one more thing I need from you. To fully absorb Gathric's power, I require a blood sacrifice. Your blood should be good enough. This will go easier for us both, if you don't bother fighting back.
After announcing his plans, Beamja will turn hostile, and thus you'll have one more foe to best inside of Ironbind Barrow. Curiously though, Salma, his companion, won't attack the player, and will in fact join you in fighting her once scaly friend. Evidently, she didn't know about his plans either, and has been misled all this time. When the fight's over, Salma will confess she's just as stunned by Beamja as you are. She's known him since childhood, and can't believe he'd do something like this. The Redguard warrior will then inform you of her plans to just go back home and try and make sense of everything. On Beamja's corpse will be a letter from Salma's father, which says, quote, "Keep my daughter safe and you'll earn both your freedom and that damn book you want so badly. But by the divines, if any harm comes to her, I'll make sure everyone I do business with will hear about what you did in Blackmarsh." End quote. This implies that Beamja has both been serving Salma's family for a while, and clearly did some not so acceptable things back in Blackmarsh, though we don't know the details. Regardless, at least we have a chance to ensure Skyrim has one fewer criminal by the time we leave that cave. Coming at number 3, southwest of Windhelm lies the abandoned Imperial Fort of Morvunskar. Well, not really abandoned, as recently a band of mages has taken up residence here, and they won't be very welcoming to visitors. We'll get to briefly visit this location during Sanguine's Daedric quest, A Night to Remember, as the portal we must go through to access his Plane of Oblivion is located here. Now, A Night to Remember is easily one of my personal favorite side quests in the game, and it also seems to certainly be a community favorite as well. So as you attempt to pick up the pieces of a drinking competition gone wrong, there's a good chance that you won't be paying a lot of attention while clearing this dungeon to the warlocks inside, instead being more focused on figuring out what sort of game Sanguine is playing with you. At least, that was my experience in the first dozen or so playthroughs. But, for those who look for it, a very strange and somewhat disturbing story can be found here. As you enter the fortress's interior, if you're sneaking, you might be able to listen in on the following conversation between two mages. Take a listen.
They drink all day and night, and what do?
You
I
work the
work the
forge.
Why do they need me to do this? We use magic, not weapons. I swear, they're making me do this for a laugh. At least I'm not dealing with the prisoners down below.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about what goes on down there.
I bet Naris gets a kick out of it. Nasty fella he is.
You'd better quiet down before you end up there. Then I'd have to work the forge.
Who is this Naris fellow? Surely must be pretty cruel if these literal necromancers think he's evil. As we progress through the halls and rooms of Morvunskar, we'll also notice an abundance of empty wine bottles all over the place. The reason such items are here actually isn't really elaborated upon. I just thought it was weird and worth noting. But at the end of this dungeon, behind a wooden door, we can find this Naris character we've heard so much about in the flesh. He's an Altmer mage, and his back will be turned to the player when you first enter the room he's in, providing an excellent opportunity for some stealth. He stands before a cell-like room, with a number of charred and burning corpses inside. If you do manage to sneak up on him, you'll listen as he talks to himself about the horrible deed he's committed.
Ah, the sweet smell of burnt flesh. Nothing better, really. They die too quickly. Maybe I'll try and hold off on the paralysis next time. Give me more of a moving target. Good practice.
This creep just burned a bunch of innocent people, dare I say murdered them to death, and seemingly just shrugs it off amused. Thankfully, despite acting as the closest thing Morvunskar has to a final boss, he won't be too much of an issue defeating in combat. In fact, it's almost too easy. Though I definitely wouldn't feel too bad about the lack of a fight he puts up. Naris isn't exactly Skyrim's most honorable high elf. For 4th spot, Pinewatch is an inconspicuous looking cabin, northeast of Falkreath. From the outside it looks like a simple, humble forest home. But this stone structure is very much a case for not judging a book by its cover. We'll see what I mean in a second. As you enter, nothing will immediately be out of the ordinary, though a hostile bandit does lurk in the basement. However, next to a downstairs bookshelf will be an oddly placed button. Press it, and the furniture will fling open like a door, exposing a hidden tunnel. The hole leads to a massive underground cave network that combines with some Nordic ruins to create one of the game's largest interior cells. The hidden world is populated by a plethora of bandits, and all throughout we can find the remains of victims they must have been robbing from the area. Not unlike our friend Naris over here, these folks seem especially sadistic. As we descend deeper and deeper, we'll even find a small bar and eating area. The bandits are really settled in and got quite comfortable. Ultimately, we'll happen upon a Nordic woman named Rigel Strongarm. She seems to be the leader of this here hideaway. Now, Rigel boasts no unique dialogue, but some letters between her and her father within her bedroom do give us some insight on her backstory. Apparently, she only recently turned to the outlaw life, and her parents have been begging her to give it up, but she utterly refuses, claiming to have a nice operation going on, and she doesn't want to risk it. Besides, no one's gonna hurt her, she's fine. Now, considering you will have to defeat Rigel to progress through Pinewatch, maybe her parents were onto something after all. Behind Rigel's room will be a large treasure stash. Consider this your reward for a well-fought dungeon crawl. And once you've collected about 1,000 septims or two worth of loot, you can head out and never look back. What I found so neat about Pinewatch in particular is just how well hidden this whole experience is. People who don't explicitly know what they're looking for will never get the chance to discover this very much hidden underground oasis of evildoers. And finally, last on our list, we have Hillgrund's tomb, a large ancient Nordic burial tomb in the Rift. Like so many of the other spots on this list, Hillgrund makes it to this video thanks to the interesting tale surrounding it. As you approach the burial site for the first time, a Nord named Goldir will be found standing outside. As he detects you, Goldir will ask that the player join him in heading inside the chamber and killing a necromancer who's supposedly been defiling the bodies of his ancestors within it. Apparently, Hillgrund's tomb has been Goldir's family burial site for quite some time, and he can't stand to let anyone disturb his ancestors. The necromancer within the structure is allegedly a Dunmer named Volsvaran. Goldir's aunt already went inside to pursue him, but he was too afraid to enter the location, and she hasn't returned in hours. The Nord now fears the worst and will beg that you come with him so he doesn't lose heart again. Within Goldir's inventory, should you pickpocket him, will also be a letter from Vols, that necromancer, so they must have had some correspondence before this incident. The note is rather taunting. In the letter, Volsvaran almost mocks Goldir, saying that the dead are meant to serve the living or some nonsense like that. So I can kind of understand his frustration. Anyway, if you agree, you and your new Nordic friend will enter, fight your way through some Draugr, and ultimately arrive before Volsvaran himself at the end of the dungeon. The twisted Dark Elf will give a brief, stereotypical bad guy speech before attacking.
Ancestors to Sovngarde, and you with them.
Sovngarde is a myth, you swit. And now you can join your ancestors in service to me.
In battle, the Dunmer is actually a surprisingly unique foe, as he makes use of teleportation and conjuration spells that are difficult to answer to. Though once he's been taken care of, Goldir will thank you for your help, offer some gold, and become a new potential follower. So, in my opinion, your efforts will definitely be properly rewarded. Furthermore, if you really want to stick it to the Necromancer, I'd recommend resurrecting him with the Ray Zombie spell, and keeping him as an involuntary follower for some time too. See how he likes a taste of his own medicine. After all, you know what they say, what goes around comes around. And I don't think that phrase is limited to magical spells either. But with that lesson on morals, we are going to wrap up. 5 of my personal favorite dungeons you may have missed in the Elder Scrolls V Skyrim. Which of these featured in today's video was your own personal favorite? And what fortresses, ruins, or caves did you find especially interesting that we didn't tackle today? Leave a comment down below. As always, like ratings are very much appreciated. Thanks for stopping by, and I hope to catch you all in my next video. Peace out, everyone.